Okay, welcome back. It has been a fucking long time since I had the chance to get started on this shit. Luckily for everyone, I've recorded video for up to about stage 14. So let's get this fucking show on the road, shall we? And I love just how completely nonchalant they are about the giant spiked fucking water wheel in the background there. You know, if that was in my building, it would be fucking completely walled off, if at the very least. Now, I cannot abide giant instruments of torturous death being loose in the house. But anyway, enough of that. We're getting a bit of an info dump here. And Albert is jumpy as hell about something, so presumably he knows more than he's saying. Which isn't hard, because the man hasn't strung together 3 sentences since the start of this show. And I think everyone recognises this sort of a shit stain. Miguel, who is number 1 on my list of people who are going to be impaled by giant spiky things repeatedly, like you can just see in the background. But that'd be too good for the little bastard. And I love how he lets himself just be completely turned around by that. Poor fool. Or possibly the smart fool, since he's not actually going to start this shit by himself. And you know, wandering around this sort of castle, which has more or less been designed for fucking people up, is not probably in my list of smart things to do. But Miguel's gonna do it, and, you know, luck willing, we're gonna murder Miguel. You know, as opposed to murdering my girl, which would be something no one should do. So everyone remembers this room. We have a guillotine, we have a giant uncontrollable pendulum. We have a giant column for dropping on people, so it's all pretty good for my standard strategies of murdering people. Not perfect, of course, but good enough. You see me sort of trying to set up a bit of a control style trap scheme here. Bear trap where the pendulum is, because that'll almost force them to stay still long enough to get nailed by the giant swinging one. Though using the actual pendulum is probably not a good idea. The normal one would completely, you know, make it impossible to deal with on that. But anyway, we're going to have to readjust things here. Given the time difference between me recording this and me actually having a chance to do the audio for them, you know, expect a few inaccuracies and some nice slow sessions while I try and remember just what the fuck I was thinking at the time, which may not have been very much at all. So as you can see here, I'm having to completely readjust the whole fucking thing. Simply because whatever the hell I was thinking originally hasn't worked, or was impossible, or any of 1,001 things I could have been planning. I still don't know why I've got the flare rock set up at this point, but you know, I imagine I was going to use it for dropping on someone. That is generally what I like using flare rocks for, but fuck me if I can't remember my original plan here. I know it worked because I made it to stage 10, but okay, I think, yeah, now I know what I was planning. I'm going to bear trap them, use the Thor hammer to drop them into range where I will use the push wall to knock over the giant topple prop and murder people. Unfortunately, my plan here is being foiled a bit by the fact that they're not fucking following me. Bastards. So I'm going to sort of improvise a bit there and just drop it on both of them without the setup. Not the most elegant of traps, or what I would have preferred to use, but it did get Miguel to fuck off back home. And I will follow him, and I will chase him, and I will murder him in his fucking sleep for the crime of being named Miguel. And 23 other things for which we do not actually have a criminal name. So now we're going to continue on. We've got Ortega and the poor bastard we drop Balboa, and I get the distinct feeling that, you know, whoever translated these like their puns, or they're the references I should say, it's not really a pun. So, problem with this room is that there's really only 2 trap combos you can abuse. You can set up something with the topple props, the giant column, or you can not pendulum, you can guillotine a motherfucker. Guillotine's good because it tends to activate multiple times. Like, you'll send somebody in there, they'll get hacked up by it. They'll stand back up and it will drop down on them again. Won't usually count as part of a combo, but it is very useful for, you know, making motherfuckers bleed. And I'm all about that. Which is good, because this game's all about that. And, you know, it doesn't do to get too complicated with this sort of shit. I would apologise for my complete rampant profanity, but everyone who's actually listened to any of these videos knows that at the very least I swear every couple of sentences, if not as, you know, punctuation. So what we've got set up now, we've got the Blitz vase, which is an electrified vase we're going to drop on people, a push wall next to it, and a blast bomb, which is hopefully going to combo off of that. So here comes, and I can't quite see who's coming up there. That's Ortega, I believe. No, it's not, it's Balboa. So you can see what I'm planning to do here. I don't know why I switched to the Thor hammer there. I really shouldn't have done that. I should have used the vase and done the combo, but no idea what the hell I was thinking with this. And actually, yeah, I do know what I was thinking now. I was thinking that the Blitz vase timing wouldn't work properly, and I would need to sort of combo these things up to get them. Spring 4 puts him into the guillotine, and you'll see here what I mean about the guillotine tending to double hit on people. Stood up, couldn't get out of the way fast enough, so the guillotine came back down on him. Of course, I was hoping that he'd actually step forward into the Thor hammer and then be thrown into the guillotine so I'd get a bigger combo. Didn't work out that way, unfortunately. And now is probably a good time to get the fuck out of Dodge, because I've got no trap set up. They're both in this room, and my big gimmick for this stage has just been used. Fortunately, it's a repeatable one, but... And here you'll see me set up a trap idea that I had to abort from using. The idea of it is, in that room that I'm aiming to put people in right there, there's a giant furnace. It will fuck people up. Problem is, it's behind the door. And as I tried to set this up and figured out, I could not quite manage to get somebody through the damn door. So I'm going to have to make a run for it. And get some space where I can set up some other sort of fatal and probably horribly violent setup for which to deal with people. And we're back in my favourite room of this particular castle, because I'm just forever finding out new ways to fuck someone up in this thing. And I make no apologies for my rampant abuse of the phrase fuck someone up, because that is the entirety of this game. I mean, sure, bits and pieces of it are kind of a missive on how revenge isn't really that useful or that it gets you nowhere, but at its core, this game is about being excruciatingly violent to people who probably don't deserve it. So I'm just going with the flow here. And of course, now I've got to set up a trap combo that'll get one of them out of my hair fast, because I got 2 people about to come through that door with giant fuck-off swords in an attempt to make me fuck off. So I'm going to fall back on Old Faithful here and bear trap somebody and sling them into the water wheel. And at this point I'm kind of remembering that I didn't get hold of my better comboable traps until a few stages afterwards, when I actually started spending all the goddamn stuff I'd got built up, after realising that half the traps I had couldn't hit the broadside of a fucking barn. Like the arrow slit here, which you'll understand why I don't use it all that much. It is ridiculously hard to make it actually connect. It just doesn't like hitting people. It's got a very odd arc to it, which means you kind of need to make sure they're about 3 or 4 squares out from it if you want it to hit. And and even then, you know, it's not guaranteed in the least. So, you know, we do what we can with what we have. And I swear one day I'm going to work out a way to use that bloody spinning fan blade up there. I don't even know if it can be used. I've found no way whatsoever to actually use it, but I'm going to try. And there we see the advantage of keeping a goddamn cool head, and the disadvantage of using the bloody arrow slit as a weapon, because it missed like hell there. And that's Ortega pretty much dead, I think. Which means I'm going to need a new trap combo here, because I don't like repeating the same one twice in a row. I mean, I could cheese it because it's an effective trap, but really this game is all about stuffing people up. And if you can't do that in new, inventive and excruciating ways, you're not really playing the game right. It's kind of like GTA in that respect, without the free roaming or the plot or the style or much of anything in common, except that, you know, that's the entire point. And yeah, I can't remember actually why you can't set traps in that block, but don't know. And yeah, the game doesn't let you put ceiling and floor traps on the same square, though you can effectively put ceiling and wall or floor and wall traps together, just because the game counts them on different axes, even though they are basically in the same spot, which is a bit of a godsend at some points. While I figure out what I'm going to do with this push wall here, because I think my goal at this point was to try and get Cupido under the bridge so I could drop it on him. You know, like a fucked up billy goat. Because he is kind of trollish looking and, you know... Actually, I suppose that'd be me under the bridge, so I'd technically be the troll and he'd be the billy goat. I hope this has... Well, I know this has a different ending to the fairy tale, but that was not a reassuring thought just then. So... Ignoring the fact that I have apparently forgotten what one is supposed to do with a wall trap. And just a word of advice to anyone out there who's thinking of doing this. If you can't record your audio live, like I can't because I've got a freestanding handheld mic and I don't have 3 arms, at least do it on like the same day or at some point when you actually remember what you're doing. So I'm going to forget about actually using the trap combo and just drop the bridge on Ortega. Because, poor bastard. I just seriously wanted to drop a bridge on somebody. I now have to get out of here while Cupido, the lunging fencer bastard, is chasing me. So, I've just set off the Thor hammer for God knows what reason. Probably a mistake. While I run for higher ground. Or lower ground, or just anything that will give me some breathing space to screw people up. And I haven't shown any of you this room before, I don't think. But I love this room, just because it is so full of ways to just destroy people. 2 carts, an incinerator, a wall spear, 2 powder boxes. Yeah, the powder boxes create big explosions if you trigger them with just about anything. A falling rock, a push wall... Flaming arrows should do it, I think, but regular arrows don't, I believe. I don't use the arrow stuff much until I got hold of the ice arrow later on, so... The carts, of course, run on rails. One of them, this one here, runs down to one of the powder boxes. The other one, which you will see in a much later video, runs down to one of the little spike wall things, which... you can't see here because I'm not going to use it. I didn't actually think to use it at the time. Can't use the flare rock here because I need something that swings through. So I'm gonna try and use like the bear trap followed by the Thor hammer so I can get a double hit going on. I don't know if it'll work that way. And I mean, I do actually save state a bit in these videos, usually when I'm just trying out trap combos to see if they are going to work. I try not to use it, but I don't want to do 10 videos just so I can try out each and every different idea I think will entertain my viewers, or 3 of you. So sometimes things get a bit weird when I do something, realise it doesn't work, and have to readjust. But we're going to bear trap. We're going to push wall the cart down. which is going to go straight through that, drive him through with it, and we're going to drop a rock on him. Because seriously, it's a fucking rock. And his strength is draining, which would be foreshadowing if I don't think the game had actually already told us what the problem was. And this is Cecilia, I believe. No, Christina, my mistake. Too many bloody C's in this game. Maybe it is Christina. I don't remember much of this video. It was done a while ago. And my memory's shot. But that's the end of the stage. We get through it with no damage. We get 4,500 Drek, whatever it's pronounced as, with which to buy more stuff, with which we can carve people up. It's a never-ending cycle of violence and blades, and it's kind of like Somalia, really. We only get the death file for 2 of them, because 2 of them technically didn't die, which I'm very disappointed at. And we get the magnet wall, which and the summon ring. You won't see me use the rings much, because they're not really all that useful. And we'll be back next time with more of this shit.